Welcome, Darklings, to the place where shadows move on their own and whispers echo in the dead of night. Tonight, we step into a world where reality and fear collide, where everyday encounters take a dark turn. Spirits lurking in hallways, something sinister scratching under the bed, and figures that float just outside your bedroom window. We'll hear stories from those who thought their homes were safe and the eerie silence broken only by a haunting lullaby. And just when you think you've heard it all, there's more, the unsettling feeling of someone climbing on your bed in the dead of night. But when you turn to look, there's no one there. What would you do if you saw a dark form in your mirror that wasn't in the room, or heard your name whispered in an empty house? We'll also dive into encounters with the chilling dogman and, yes, even haunted dolls that refuse to stop playing. Are these simply tricks of the mind, or is something else at play in the darkened corners of our lives? Tonight, we try to find out. Joining me to examine these firsthand accounts is medium Scotty Davis, paranormal investigator, researcher, and, as I said, world-renowned psychic medium. So turn off the lights, shut the windows, lock the doors, and settle in, because what you're about to hear will have you questioning what's waiting for you in the dark. I'm Dave Schrader, and this is my Paranormal 60.
I'm not gonna stand here and listen to this baloney. You won't know. He doesn't stand for baloney.
Sounds like a lot of supernatural baloney to me. Supernatural, perhaps. Baloney, perhaps not.
Good evening, my Darklings. It's a new week and a new night to get weird, to get spooky and strange. And I wanted to have a guest join me that would do something a little different than normal. We're going to examine some of your emails that you've sent to the mailbag of the macabre. That's right. We're going in for some share-a-scares tonight. And I wanted to have somebody that could weigh in on these stories with us, give us his unique insight and perspective. And I knew that the guy that I needed to speak to was going to be busy on his own channel. So I flexed a little bit of power and made him quit his show to join me on mine. Ladies and gentlemen, Scotty the Medium.
What's up, man?
Good to see you, brother.
You too. How's it going?
It's it's been a crazy couple of weeks, as you're well aware, and I'm just glad that we're all here and we're together and spending a little time. So thanks for being here tonight, Scotty.
Man, thanks for having me as always. Dude, what are we doing in here? We're in like little bubbles.
I know, you like that? I feel like
I
it
do.
gives us a chance to have a cool background, and then we could still see each other just by looking.
Yeah.
And no, wrong way. I'm over here.
Oh, right. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So we've got cool stuff to cover. I do have on the bottom of today's screen how you can help for the hurricane relief. Donations are being accepted through redcross.org. Please consider making a donation, or you can find some other great outlets that are doing more, where you can actually send Amazon kits and packages right to them. They are delivering these packages to the different areas that are being affected. The reason I bring up Red Cross is because they seem to have a bigger scale scope, and they're helping all of the areas affected by this. And I know that the Carolinas, Tennessee, and Florida have taken the main brunt of these hurricanes as of late, and there are still so many people suffering out there. And just know that you continue to be in our thoughts and prayers, and we only hope for the very best for each and every one of you. And if you have friends and family still out there that are in the dark, in the cold, we just pray for you and pray for them that they will soon find some comfort and warmth again. So how about some weird stories from the listeners, Scotty? Are you ready to weigh in with your form of expertise and let me know what you think of these tales?
It's all ghosts. I'm absolutely ready. Haunted.
Perfect. Let's start with shadow people. Here we go. Hi, Dave. I've been listening to your show for years. I've always been fascinated by the stories you share, but I never thought I'd have one of my own. For as long as I can remember, I've seen shadowy figures in my house. At first, I thought they were tricks of light, but the more I saw them, the more real they felt. It was always out of the corner of my eye, just a quick, dark movement that was gone as soon as I looked directly at it. But one night last year, I had an encounter that still haunts me. I was heading down the hallway to use the bathroom, and there it was, a tall, solid shadow standing at the end of the hallway. It wasn't moving, but I knew that it was aware of me. The air around it felt heavy, almost suffocating. Then it slowly turned its head as if it was acknowledging my presence. There were no eyes, no face, just a dark, faceless figure staring right at me. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest, and in the blink of an eye, it was gone. Since that night, I can't bring myself to walk down that hallway in the dark. I know what I saw, and I can't help but feel that it's still there, waiting for the right moment to appear again. I've never told anyone about this, but I knew I had to share it with you. Thank you for listening. And that's Jesse that wrote in. All right, Jesse, let's take a look at this. Does it help if I rub the letter on the lens of the camera here? Does it make it feel like you have a better psychic connection, Scotty? Is there anything I can do if I rub it against the microphone?
Bro, all right, listen, you don't have to rub anything, Dave. We're
Okay.
friends. What I can tell you is
Yes.
that is such an interesting account how not only did they physically see something, but they felt the presence, which is something that I think is really interesting because I feel like not everybody can feel the presence of the paranormal. A lot of times they're just, fixated with their eyes and that's all they get. But to feel it adds another layer of the presence being in the home, like a real intruder, right? When somebody's not supposed to be in your space and they're kind of just there. And for it to such an ominous movement to just like turn and look at them. I mean, that's almost it just feels like an air of superiority. What do you feel about that yourself? I just feel like if I saw that in my house, I would probably be like, you need to leave or I'm leaving because one of us isn't going to stay in this house all night.
Well, are you picking anything up from the story itself? I mean, do you think this is something that they should be afraid of?
I don't feel fear with this one. I did a little bit with the way you were reading it, of course, because you're the master of that. But I certainly feel like they may have run into somebody that was in the house, checking them out. As you were telling that story, I felt like I was there and I was walking down the hallway with them and I felt choked up and I felt that presence myself. And as somebody who's encountered shadow people and has an opinion of them just being kind of watchers on us, I don't feel like it's something they should be afraid of. And they could go down that hallway by themselves with the lights off and be okay next time. It just seems like they ran into something at that moment in time, maybe a time rift that they just got a glimpse into the past or the future there. Interesting.
That's what I was wondering is, right? I mean, this is what if what they saw at the end of the hall was whoever lives in that house 20 years ago or 20 years from now who walked out in the hall and heard something and stopped listening. And then he heard and turned slowly to look down the hall. And to him, he's seeing a ghost hovering in the hallway.
Right. So
I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of my. I love shadow people stories because none of us know the paranormal. We try to know. We try to do our best to know. But I can't say I've ever actually had a significant interaction with a shadow person aside from those exact kind of scenarios where we kind of just ran into each other and kind of realized like I don't think I'm supposed to see you, but it seems like you see me. And are we supposed to acknowledge each other, or one of those things where we just kind of look at the ground and go on our business?
Right. Yeah, it's very strange. Shadow people, like I said, are a bit of a conundrum to me. I know that we want to feel that they're evil inherently because they're dark and ominous, but I don't know that that's truly. I mean, if we are trying to see through a veil, it's got to be like, if you've got the right light behind you and you're standing in front of a sheer curtain from the other side, it looks like just a dark, ominous outline. It's not. It's Dave Schrader, but you're just seeing what's visible through the light spectrum.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes when even when I do readings, sometimes people look like that. They just are kind of that shape. And I have to say, look, he's about, I don't know, 6 feet tall, bald, I think, and big broad shoulders. Seems probably like he's very handsome. It might be Dave, you know?
I like the
Um,
sound of that.
so
All right.
yeah.
Now, I'm not going to lie to you. When I saw the headline of this one, part of me puckered. This one is called Creepy Lullaby from the Ouija Board.
All right, here we go.
Now, I know you are not afraid of the Ouija board. You've used Ouija boards when I've been at investigations with you, and you show, people all the time. It's mostly about the intention and manifestation and what you put into it, and what your desires and everything are. And if you go into a thing in fear, expect that something might mess with you. But if you just accept it as another tool, that's what happens.
Exactly.
All right. Hello, Dark One. It says, I hope this doesn't sound too crazy, but I think something followed me home after using a Ouija board. I hadn't touched one since high school, but last week, a few friends and I decided to give it a try, for old time's sake. It was just meant to be a bit of fun, but things took a strange turn pretty quickly. We asked if there was a spirit in the room, and the planchette moved to yes almost immediately. Then it spelled out something that sent chills down my spine. Sing for me. We laughed it off, thinking one of us was messing around, but that night, something happened that I cannot explain. I woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of a lullaby playing softly in my room. It was eerie, like music from an old, broken music box. But the song itself was unfamiliar, and it seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere all at once. Dave, I live alone. My heart was racing, and I fumbled to turn on the light. The moment I did, the sound stopped. I've tried to convince myself that it was nothing more than a dream, but this felt way too real. Every night since, I've been on edge waiting to hear that lullaby song again, and I'm not sure what I've invited into my life, but but I do regret ever touching that damn board. Thanks for your show. It's been a real comfort to know I'm not alone in these experiences. And that comes from Jade. Thank you, Jade. All right. Listen, when you start mixing in like creepy lullaby music, nursery rhyme music, and kids stuff and Ouija board, this is, ugh, I puckered.
Look, I'm at that point, if I live alone and I start hearing music after something spells out sing to me that like a couple hours before,
yeah,
I think intrepid, not scared ghost hunting Scott is done for the night, and he goes and gets a hotel room until he can figure it out in the morning. That is,
I don't know. Like, obviously, part of it is psychological. Are you just experiencing something creepy because you're asserting creepy to it? Maybe this thing was a comforting song to that spirit and knew you were dealing with anxiety, and it was trying to bring you peace by sharing something that meant something. See, music is such a huge part of my life. I can't believe that in the afterlife it won't have some impact on me as well.
yeah, I think that it will. It's interesting that they hadn't played with it for years and then thought they were going to have a good time using it, and it spells sing to me. Now, what, like, sing to me? That's not ominous on its own, so it probably wasn't scary at that moment, right? You're like, well, what does that mean? Maybe they even sang a song to them. Who knows?
Well, they laughed.
Right?
Yeah, they laughed.
Like, silly, right? But then once you're tucking yourself into bed, is that still replaying in your mind at that moment as your head is going to hit the pillow? Like, what did that thing say to me? Sing to me? And you're trying to fall asleep, and all of a sudden that creepy music box sound starts going. Now, what is Dave Schrader doing if he has this experience? Is he taking out his recorder and trying to capture the music, or is he pulling like Scott and being like, "Shut up, ghost, time for bed"?
Well, what's funny is high pitched noises I can hear really clearly from a far distance. If you've lower noises that are down in this timber, you could be next to me, and if there's 2 or 3 other people in the room talking, I can't hear you. Right. I think it's abuse on my ears from 40, 50 years of headphones. But, if I started to hear that, and I've heard music like that before, where I've been like, shh, only to find out like a ice cream man's 2 blocks away, you know? And I'm like, "Are you hearing that?" And then sure enough, look outside and the ice cream man comes around the corner. So, you know, if it's 2, 3 in the morning and I start hearing ding, 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 you know, I probably am going to stop to try to process, yeah, what's going on. I think I would try to break out my recorder. I keep one next to my bed.
Yep.
For if I have any amazing ideas in the middle of the night that I just know I'm going to forget. And most of them are garbage, complete and utter garbage when I wake up in the morning. But they're scholarly at night. But I would hit that recording just to see if I could pick up that ambient noise to see if I could make sense of what it was. But when it comes to music, right? I mean, we do have such an amazing connection, and music is almost like a form of time travel, because there are certain songs I can hear where literally I can smell the, you know, Dr. Pepper lip smackers of my girlfriend in high school, or I can almost feel like I'm back at the high school dance, or, you know, driving around with my buddies in the car singing Radio Gaga at the top of our lungs. So there are moments literally that it feels like the butterfly effect where I'm shuddering in and remembering those bits. So we found by using music of the day at some haunted location, sometimes we get better response. Billy Tolley from Ghost Adventures was doing an investigation at one of the places in Virginia City, and they put on some old honky tonk piano and they were playing and recording. And when they got done, when they played it back, now it was just like that kind of, you know, that honky tonky piano sound, real jingly jangly. And when they played it back, you could hear what sounded like a cacophony of drunk guys singing along, you know? And it was really, really cool. So I think you can maybe trigger things with the paranormal by music. And if you're a ghost who can't turn the radio on, can't make that happen, why not? Yeah, sing to me. Sing me something.
Yeah, play me a song. And what's interesting is I like this idea that we were at somebody else's house too, using it, and then we go home and have the experience, which really separates you from the space, which kind of says like, are you carrying that energy with you? Is it always with you? And is it somebody that you love maybe trying to get in touch with you and they thought this would be a good idea or a good opportunity to do that? So yeah, maybe it's not scary, maybe it's comforting, or maybe it's something from the Ouija board that's coming after you.
I will have you know that at one point I did consider naming the show Radio Gaga, but then I thought everybody would tune in thinking it was going to be all Lady Gaga music, and I didn't want to mislead people.
We didn't want to have ratings go through the roof here.
Right. I can't take that at all. Colleen MJ says music is a universal language. I agree. We did a quick story, and I've told on my show throughout the years, but I don't know if I've ever told you this, Scotty. We were at the Queen Mary, and there's the little girl Jackie's ghost that's often seen by the first class pool. And Peter James, the resident psychic of the Queen Mary back in the day, appeared on Sightings. If you can go find the old episodes of Sightings, Peter James episodes, Queen Mary, you'll hear, I mean, they're walking around, you can hear this little girl start singing London Bridge. They're recording the voices. And she always seemed to speak the loudest when Peter was there. So many people thought that Peter was a ventriloquist. But there's plenty of footage where you're looking directly at his face as you're hearing it, and there's no, and I know some ventriloquists are so good at not moving their mouth, but like his mouth is closed and there's no movement of the vocal cords. There's nothing intoning that there's something else going on here. But while we were there, we were doing an investigation one night, and we had a bunch of K2 meters set up on the floor, and they were literally bouncing like an equalizer light on a stereo if we would sing. And I'd say, oh, I bet it's been a long time since somebody sang Happy Birthday, Jackie. Would you like us to do that? And they all lit up. So as we're singing Happy Birthday, the lights on the K2 meter are bouncing to the rhythm of our song, which I thought was cool. And then we did London Bridge, and it did the same thing. Fast forward about a year later, we're there, and I had the Booth brothers were with us, and they were filming some stuff. And I had Andy Kopic, who was using this induction probe. It was basically like a phone speaker with this probe, and it would pick up any kind of electrical wiring, you know, so you would find phone wires in your wall, electrical wiring, and the closer you got, the louder the hum. So he was just sitting there on the floor holding this, cradling it, and he had the tip of it on his shoe, and his hands are holding it. And all of a sudden, something starts going, and it gets super loud. We're like, okay, Jackie, back off, back off. And I'm like, Jackie, last time we were here, we sang happy birthday to you. Do you remember that? And we're like, okay, cool, cool. How about this time you sing it for us? And we're all hoping to hear this little voice come out of the spirit box, right? On this induction probe. And instead it starts going. And we're all looking at the guy holding the induction probe. And I'm waiting to see if he's tapping it on something to make it do nothing. And he's just staring up at us as this thing's going off. We get done and everybody, oh, that was so cool. And can you do London Bridge now? And people are literally starting to get weepy-eyed and runny-nosed, and they're just so excited about this, right? And then being Dave Schrader, class clown, smartass, I go, that's great, Jackie. Two of my favorites. But now let's hear a little Inagata Davida by Iron Butterfly. And the induction probe goes, not even a background hum, nothing. And he looks up at me and he goes, I think you broke our ghost. And everybody has a good laugh. And we're all kind of laughing. And wow, that was really cool. And all of a sudden you hear, and I go, baloney. How could Jackie's ghost from, pre-50s know Inagata Davida? And but it was really cool, and we all witnessed it, and they filmed it, and I'm still waiting for them to give me the footage. It's only been 15 years, so hopefully someday, eventually, I'll get that footage. But it was really cool.
Like they went to the ghost library, the jukebox, and were like, "Oh, I got this one. Hold on, right? Yeah. Put it on." That's awesome.
And that song's already got a creepy sound to it, but when it starts coming through an induction probe, very unnerving. All right.
That's such a cool story.
Email number three.
Number three.
Hi, Dave and gang. I guess that makes you gang tonight.
I'm gang.
Yeah, I'll be cool. You be the gang. How about that?
Perfect.
Say gang. You know how kids are always afraid of something lurking under their bed? I always thought that fear was part of growing up, but now I'm not so sure. You see, about 2 weeks ago, I woke up in the middle of the night because I felt a sudden, sharp tug on my blanket. I thought it was my dog trying to climb up, but when I called her name, I heard her barking from outside my bedroom door. She wasn't even in the room. The tugging stopped, and then I heard a faint scratching sound coming from under the bed. It was slow and deliberate, like something or someone was trying to get out. My heart was in my throat, but I forced myself to lean over and look under the bed. I'm going to just say pause here. I'm going to do a little Saved by the Bell, Zach Morris. We're going to pause because Chris, have you never seen one horror movie in your entire life? Because
either the bravest or dumbest person ever.
Right. You are either about to look into the eyes of the demon or there's going to be nothing. And as soon as you sit up on your bed, it's going to be behind you as the claw grabs you and yanks you back. Right? We know this is what's coming. Oh. All right. Hang on. My heart was in my throat, but I forced myself to lean over and look under the bed. What I saw made my blood run cold. There were deep, fresh scratches gouged into my wooden floor, right where the sound had been coming from. And I swear, I heard a low, growling noise as I jumped back up. I haven't slept with the lights off since that night. And I don't mean to laugh. I'm sorry. That was uncool of me. But it's funny because I would be in that same boat. I'm terrified of what might be hiding under there, waiting for me to let my guard down. It's the kind of thing that makes you question what's real and what isn't. But I can't shake the feeling that whatever was under my bed is still there. Keep doing what you do. And I would love your insight. And that comes from Chris. Okay, Scotty, what's your take on that one?
Like, all right, first off, we move in bedrooms. Even if the other bedroom's a closet, that's the first move. Yep. I would have never done what they like God bless you. I don't know. I don't know if
Mhm.
I have like, I'm a tough dude. I don't know if I have the guts to look under and see what's scratching the floorboards.
No.
And then to find actual scratches, if they're like big and you don't think they're like mouse scratches or something like that, and you think they're like hand scratches, then I mean, I'd wait for the daytime. I legitimately would move the bed, and I probably wouldn't sleep in there for a couple days, but I would, as an investigator, set up some cameras because if there's something strong enough to put some scratch marks, I got to see what's doing it.
Right, but
I,
see, at this point, you have plausible deniability, Scotty. I don't know if you're
yeah,
familiar with that term as a law enforcement official, but if I videotape it and I see something, there's no going back. I can always try to convince myself a rogue agent platypus got under my bed seeking secret plans to, I don't know, a military silo I don't know is hidden in my old house, and he accidentally clawed the floor trying to get out. And I can go to bed with that in my head. If I start filming and I see like eyes light up underneath my bed or I see a hairy hand and claw, I got to burn the whole place down, Scotty.
yeah. Well, listen, either that or break the lease. I don't know. Like, whatever we got to do.
I will
Some
say this.
people look for that.
When I was having trouble once and we had something weird in my kids' room, besides my kids, they're weird enough. And I called John Zaffis and I'm like, this is what's going on, John. And he said, okay, this is what we're going to do. Do you have the holy water I've given to you? I said, yes. He goes, okay. So he literally had me open up windows in every room and open the front door of the house. And I started in my kids' room in the corner and I started doing a blessing and pushing my way out. And then he goes, now go back to the bed, lift the mattress and the box springs. Are they elevated? I said, yeah. He goes, okay, lift them. I lift them. And I make the cross with the holy water. He goes, put the box springs down, keep the mattress up, make a cross with the holy water, say your prayer, put the top mattress down, splash it again, say your prayer. And I mean, I repeatedly said the prayer throughout every room, but he said, always do it under the bed because we think we're going to block windows and doors. And sometimes they come up from underneath things, which was nightmare fuel right there. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes they come up from underneath things, Scotty.
Listen, but how many times have you heard somebody tell you that I think you've mentioned it, like having the bed kicked from underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would make I think thinking about it, my anger would probably get the better of me. Because if something's kicking me from under the bed, I'm coming under there, pal. And maybe it'll be Howie from Little Monsters, and he'll bring me underneath as a little monster.
Maybe.
Remember,
Maybe.
I don't know.
Or maybe it's Freddy Krueger and his clawed hand will grab you and drag you under the bed. He'll Johnny Depp your ass right then.
But at least I don't have to go to work tomorrow either way. Am I right?
I guess there's an upside to everything.
That's
We need to take a quick break. Scotty, the medium, our guest. We have a link for Scotty on today's program guide. Plus, you can follow Scotty, the medium, at TikTok, where he is one of the leading creators on TikTok and does live readings and answers questions and does story time and is constantly sharing and creating on his TikTok. And you'll find him again at Scotty the Medium. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We've got more to discuss, more of your emails when we continue right here on the Paranormal 60.
Did you know that radio just got a little extraterrestrial? That's right, Dave Schrader is back on radio with the Paranormal 360 every Sunday evening, 7 to 9 p.m. Central on WCCO AM 830, an Odyssey station. Just download the Odyssey app and look for the WCCO logo, follow the station and listen live. That's the Paranormal 360 on WCCO AM 830, an Odyssey station.
All right, we are back. We've got more emails from listeners as we dig deep into the mailbag of the macabre. And here's one, man, we got to follow up with something under the bed. This one is the monster in the attic, Scotty.
All right. Let me take my heart medicine.
Yeah. Hi, Dave. I've been a fan of yours for years, and I've always wondered if something like this would happen to me. Well, last month it did, or at least I think it did. For weeks, I'd been hearing these strange scratching sounds coming from the attic. I live alone, so you can imagine how unsettling that was. It started small, just the occasional scuffle, and then it turned into full-on thuds and bangs especially at night. Of course, my first thought was that some creature had moved in, or worse, something paranormal. But I was terrified to go up there either way. One night, the noise got so bad that I couldn't take it anymore. Armed with a flashlight and a broom, because what else do you use to fight ghosts? It says in this email. That is right. A flashlight and a broom. They are the two most deadly ghost weapons. I slowly made my way up the attic stairs. My heart was racing, but I was fully prepared to see a demon or some creepy shadow figure crouched, waiting for me. As soon as I stepped into the attic, the noise stopped. It was dead silent. I turned my flashlight around, looking for any sign of life or afterlife. And that's when I saw it. There, sitting in the corner, haunched, staring at me with these beady, disgusting eyes, was a squirrel the size of a football. Somehow, this little guy had found his way in and had been the source of all the scratching and banging. He must have been having the time of his life, scurrying around while I was downstairs, imagining the worst. I spent a week terrified of a ghostly intruder, only to find out my attic had been turned into a satanic squirrel hotel.
Satanic squirrels.
Yeah, that should be the name of our band, Scotty. Let's put it together. Dave and Scotty, Satanic Squirrels.
You got it, pal. I'm in.
Lesson learned. Sometimes the scariest things turn out to be small and furry. Thanks for all the spooky entertainment. Next time, I'll check for rodents first. Best, Mandy.
Mandy, I always get worried when somebody uses the fact that something is hunched over. I'm always ready for the worst of something hunched.
Oh, it's just because as soon as I get to that, I'm just imagining this thing in the corner, all kind of
something getting ready to crawl out.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. We still have a lot of stories to go through, and we're only hitting story number 4. We are 32 minutes into the show.
Let's do it, baby.
Do you have any insight on that one, or are we good with the satanic squirrel?
No, I mean, use peanut butter, trap them humanely, and let them go near your parents' house. That's what I do.
Just go put them in the
My
neighbor's
dad gets
basement.
so mad.
Put them in the neighbor's basement. All right, here we go. Now I will say this: it's October. We've been sitting down as a family watching scary movies. So the new Max version of Salem's Lot came out.
It's good.
Did you watch it?
Yes.
I was disappointed, Scotty.
What? I liked it.
I thought it was too fast paced. There was not enough character development. I thought like they were leaving out such integral parts to I didn't care about any character because there was never any time to know anything about the characters.
Funny you should say that, because I told my wife the same thing. It's the one thing I didn't think that they did good was they didn't give me enough of the background of the characters for me to care as much.
Right.
But what I did enjoy was all of the vampire stuff. It was really good. Floating kids in windows scared the crap out of me. I was like, this is too much.
That's our story next. So real quick, watch the new Salem's Lot. Didn't care for it. Out of 5 phantoms, I'll give it 2. 2 phantoms out of 5 tops. But then the other day, we sat down and watched the original 1979 made-for-TV series of Salem's Lot, starring David Soul. And it was amazing. Still holds up, man. It is, once you get past the bad 70s hairdos, it's still a really great movie. But that when that kid is out hovering outside the window and he's just kind of floating there and scratching at the glass. However, I will say, Scotty, if you watch the second one, high definition has ruined some early 1970s movie effects, because the scene, the second boy that's outside, as he pulls away, if you look closely between his legs, you see the hydraulic pillar covered in a black cloak as it pulls him away from the window. Yeah, it's pretty funny. All right, I tell you that to tell you this.
All right.
Hello, darkness. I've been debating whether or not to write you, but I feel like I need to tell someone. A few nights ago, I woke up in the middle of the night with this overwhelming sense that I wasn't alone. Now, I live in a quiet neighborhood, and my bedroom is on the 2nd floor. So I usually feel safe. But when I opened my eyes, I saw something outside my window that just should not have been there. Please let it be a satanic squirrel. Please let it be a satanic squirrel. It was a dark figure hovering just outside the glass. It didn't have any distinct features, just this shadowy form, but it was big, and I could feel it staring at me. I blinked, thinking my eyes were playing tricks on me, but Dave, it didn't go away. It was just there. And here's the thing, Dave. There's no baloney. Oh, I'm sorry. There's no balcony. Apparently, I still have my opening of the show. You won't stand for baloney. There's no balcony. There's no ledge. Probably no baloney, too. I think we're safe to assume that. Nothing for anyone to stand on. This thing was floating 2 stories up outside my bedroom window, watching me. As soon as I reached for my phone to take a picture, it vanished. I don't know if it was a ghost, a shadow person, an alien, a tall Bigfoot on stilts, but I've been afraid to look out that window at night ever since. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what this could have been, and if anyone else has had a similar experience. Love the show. Comes from Trina. Trina, no, move out. Go away.
Yeah, I think it's a good reason to move. That's what it is.
Yeah. Addie Firebird, our buddy who comes to see us at the Shanley, she says pervert. That's who's outside the window, is a pervert.
Amen.
No. Yeah, that's creepy. You look outside your window and there's just something there hovering, floating outside. No, I'd get those. I have them in every room of my house. I have those pull down blackout blinds. A, because I'm kind of vampiric and I don't like sunlight. B, because I don't want things looking in my house.
Yeah, I agree.
From the second floor where there's no baloney.
But there's definitely no. Well, maybe a little bit. That's so creepy. I wonder what that could have been if they never had any other experience like that. What
would bring something? What did you pick up from that? Was it an alien? Was it an angel? Was it a?
So I've had an experience like that. And it's very interesting. When I was a kid, when I was probably about 10 or 11 years old, I was in my parents' house, second story in my bedroom. I literally like walked up to the window and it was abnormally dark outside. The street light wasn't on. I couldn't see the house across the street. And all of a sudden, just this figure filled up the window and it scared me. And I remember I turned to run and then I kind of got brave and I turned around and I yelled at it. And I said, go away and leave me alone. And just like that, it was gone. And I never had another experience like that. Something in me like really turned that fight or flight on. And when you were just telling that story, I was like, I can't wait to see what it looked like. And it's kind of exactly what I saw. It was just this big hulking figure that had no reason to be 2 stories up in the air. And it scared me. But I also had some sort of moment, maybe a stroke. Who knows, at 10 or 11 years old. And I turned around and I said, leave me alone. And I screamed at it and it left.
By the way, Scotty and I are going to be at the Shanley again. I think, is it April? Is that the date that we've settled on? Do you know?
I think it is. Yeah. I'll confirm that with Kelly and we'll make sure.
Yeah. So we'll have that up soon. If you guys want to join us for an investigation overnight and some, talks and fun with Scotty and I, I'm going to try to do a gallery session for the first time ever. And Scotty's going to pretend to be a ghost hunter. So it'll work out really well.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. No, we're going to have some fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Keep checking out darknessevents.com. As every new event is added, I will put it up on that site. All right. Now you've talked about ghosts and shadow people with us. Ouija board. Let's see where you weigh in on this one, Scotty. Hey, Dave. I've always been a skeptic when it comes to things like cryptids and strange creatures, but what I saw last fall has me rethinking everything I thought I knew. See, I've been hunting in the same patch of woods for years, so I'm very familiar with the local wildlife. But this was different. It was just before dusk, and I was tracking a deer when I noticed something moving in the brush. At first, I thought it was a big dog or maybe a bear, but as it came closer, I realized it was neither. This creature stood up on 2 back-haunched legs, towering over me. It had the body of a man, but its head was like that of a massive wolf or dog. Its eyes, though those eyes looked human, were huge and almost glowing yellow. I was frozen in place, staring at it, and it just stared right back. We must have stood there for a good minute, just locked in this bizarre, silent standoff. And then, without warning, it turned and disappeared into the woods as quickly as it had appeared. Do you think it ran home and it's like, Mom, Dad, you're not going to believe what I just saw?
I saw a human.
It was standing on its own two legs, no hair.
So ugly and naked.
Oh, so ugly and naked. I don't know what I saw, Dave, but it wasn't any animal I've ever come across. I haven't been back to those woods since, and I'm not sure I ever will. If there's such a thing as a dog man, I believe I saw it that day. I'd love to know if any of your listeners have experienced something similar. Stay safe, Ron. All right, email me, folks, dave@paranormal60.com, dave@paranormal60.com. We'll share your encounters and weigh in on them. Maybe I'll even have Scotty back. So what are you picking up on this, Scotty? This giant bipedal human-shaped body, dog head, giant glowing yellow eyes.
Man, that sounds so much like so many interesting things, all kind of as one amalgamation, right? It sounds a little bit like a Pukwudgie. It sounds a little bit like the Dog Man. It sounds a little bit Skinwalker-ish. For something just to kind of transform in front of you, human eyes, that's right in that shape-shifting Skinwalker lore. And you're in its land, you're hunting, perhaps it's being very protective, and maybe it was tired of you harvesting off of its land and just kind of gave you a warning. I feel like if I saw that, I would also not go back into those woods. And I've never had a bad experience with a guy named Ron. Ron's usually tell the absolute truth, so I'm going to go with you here on Ron. I think you saw something incredible, and I wouldn't go back there.
No, I'm not an outdoorsy kind of guy. I know it's hard to believe because I'm so burly and big, and I've got this ruddy tan. Well, more like just pale white, but I don't think I'd go out there again ever. I don't think I would have gone out there in the first place. But it does really, I say that, but then I want to go see something like that, right? You kind of want to see it until you see it.
Right.
And
I want to be
like
scared to death until I'm scared to death.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe if you had 10 guys well armed and you went out in the woods and looked for it, but then you probably wouldn't encounter it. You know, it's one of those things where
it'd be like you, me, and 8 of our closest friends. And I'd be like, guys, the sun is really hot today. Here's some sun lotion. I would be rubbing like bacon grease on them so they smell a little tastier. And then all I have to do is outrun the bacon layered friends of ours that, you know.
That's what dog people like.
Yeah, they love bacon flavored humans.
That's true.
Oh, man. All right. Hello, Darkness team. Oh, thank you. Although we are more the Paranormal 60 pals, I like to call us. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to own a haunted doll, but here we are. It all started when I picked up this strange little doll from an estate sale a few months ago. It was old, maybe from the early 1900s, and had this eerily lifelike expression. I thought it would make an interesting decoration, but ever since I brought it home, strange things have been happening. At first, it was small things. I'd leave the doll on my dresser and later find it in different positions. Sorry, the 12-year-old boy in me is filling in the gaps. All right. Like its arms or legs had moved slightly. I'm sorry, Olivia. Let me pull this back in. I don't mean to laugh at your story. I'm sure this is terrifying. But the 12-year-old boy in me is enjoying this tale. All right. I brushed it off thinking maybe I just hadn't noticed it before, but then it got weirder. One day I came home to find the doll sitting on my bed facing the door. I hadn't touched it. The final straw was when I found it in the kitchen, sitting in a chair like it had been waiting for me. I live alone, Dave. There's no one else who could be moving this thing. I don't know if it's just my mind playing tricks on me or if there's really something wrong with this doll, but I can't bring myself to get rid of it. Part of me is terrified of what might happen if I try. Have you ever heard of an object like this? What do you think I should do? I would put it like get one of those heavy glass displays and put it underneath that. And like if you come home and it's out of the heavy glass display, I mean, of course, it's moved throughout the house and around the room and in different positions on the bed. So at this point, you're screwed. It's making itself comfortable. That's my
Yeah,
take.
it's
I
time to
could be
put it out in
wrong.
the garbage can, actually.
Really? Oh,
Like,
here's
so many people get mad at me when I say things like that. They're like, "You just can throw away haunted stuff." I'm like, "Yes." I mean, it can go live in the landfill.
oh no. But see, here's the deal. What happens when you get up in the morning and you go get in your car and put it in reverse and you look in the back seat and it's just sitting there staring at you?
Well, then I'm gonna go live in the landfill and it could stay in the house, whatever.
Scotty, why? Why would a doll be haunted? Why something like a doll?
Well, as you know, I'm not big up on haunted dolls. Everybody seems to have one. No offense. I'm sure that they are out there. I've come across the one or two that were authentically, in my opinion, very haunted. Why it happens, I'm not really sure. People talk a lot about human beings imprinting on these objects. They show them a lot of love and emotion, especially if they're going through a tough time in life and they sort of just maybe they hug on it a little too much and imprint, or maybe somebody intentionally put some bad juju on it in order to scare other people. It's like the best prank you never get to see play out, right? I don't know.
Mark might have the best idea. Wood chipper.
Mark, you're invited over with the wood chipper. She needs some help.
All right, listen, TikTok God. You know those videos where they show those grinding teeth and they keep feeding in like sofas and old
Yes,
toys
I
and
love those.
so do I. I sit there watching them constantly. So I think Mark is on to he's definitely on something and on to something because I would if I could, I would put the haunted doll into that. But wouldn't it be interesting to mic it up as you put it through?
Oh, and see if you can hear any little screams.
How bad would you
Yeah.
feel?
No, I wouldn't feel bad at all. Stop moving around my house.
Oh, that
Stop
would
moving around my house. What's next? You're gonna go in the refrigerator and help yourself?
is that the way
Pay
you
rent.
is that the way you treat the kids? Hey, hey, don't be moving around touching dad's stuff. In the wood chipper you go. All right.
I grew up to go wood chipper, but yeah, something like that.
Hey, Dave, I grew up in a house that was more than just old. It was downright haunted. My family always joked about it, but deep down, we knew something was off. The house was built in the 1800s, and it had that classic creaky floorboard, drafty window vibe. But it wasn't just the house settling that made strange noises. We'd hear footsteps in the attic late at night, even when no one was up there. The doors would open and close by themselves. It's a satanic squirrel, man. I just know it. One night, something happened that I still can't explain. I was about 10 years old and I woke up in the middle of the night feeling like someone was watching me. I turned over in bed and I felt a weight on the mattress, like someone had just sat down beside me. I thought it was my mom, so I called out to her, but when I turned to look, you guessed it, there was no one there. The indentation on the mattress stayed for a good minute after, like someone was still sitting there. It wasn't until years later that I learned the house had a long history of paranormal activity, including the spirit of a woman who was said to watch over the children who lived in the home. I've since moved out, but I can't help but wonder if that spirit was just there keeping an eye on me, protecting me. I'd love to hear what you and your guests think about this experience and if you think spirits can have protective qualities. Keep up the great work. That comes from Anna. Ladies, you are on fire tonight. Gentlemen, time to step up your game. Send me those emails, Dave at paranormal60.com. That's Dave at paranormal60.com. What do you make of that? Protective ghost spirits, Scotty? Is that a thing?
Yeah, of course. I've heard that before. My wife's neighbor had something very similar. Her neighbor got really sick, and he was like a little boy, like 7 or 8 years old. His parents had no idea that he was in bed running like 105-degree fever. And the mom tells the story that she felt like a woman come in the room and yell at her to go look at her son. And she went into the room and found her son super hot and had to rush him to the hospital. And they say that, that whoever that woman was that came in the house really saved his life, because otherwise the parents would have never checked on him. He was okay when he went to bed, and he just suddenly got very ill. So if it wasn't for whatever that angel, ghost, spirit, whatever it was, it saved his life most likely. So yeah, I think that there's people on the other side that really do a good job of looking out after us, even if they're strangers. If they belong to the house and they're sort of a nursemaid or some sort of role as a mom, they can continue that even after they're gone and you're still here. So that's a really cool story. Might have been scary, but
You
very
might
neat.
like this. I always start looking for correlations between stories and activities. And I've had people tell me, Dave, I've woken up in the middle of the night swearing I heard somebody scream my name, and everybody's asleep. Nobody's awake in my house. And it's really, really weird. And I'm like, okay. And I've had multiple people tell me this. And probably out of the dozens I've heard, I've had 3 people come back to me with this. And I always said, do me a favor, just look in your newspapers from around that time or the police blotter. And were there any break-ins in the neighborhood? And they're like, why would I look that up? I said, just look it up. And what did you do when you woke up? And they're like, well, I woke up and I turned on the lights and I walked through the house turning on the lights. I'm like, okay, just look. I've had about 3 of the people say, holy crud, a neighbor down the block got robbed that same night. And I'm like, one of the ghosts may have been watching your back and gave out the hippo hurricane holler just to bring you out of that little sleep state and get you home and safe again and put it off somewhere else. So it's sad that the other people's ghosts aren't that cool, but at least yours was.
And just because you love toying with these interesting ideas, what if it was you outside of your body watching what's happening and being like, oh, I got to wake me up, and yell at yourself to wake up so you would protect your own home?
I got to wake me up before they go. I like that.
Here we are.
Yeah. All right. We're going to take
meta.
our final break. We'll come back. We've got more emails. I'll try to get through as many of them as I can because I know we've only got Scotty for about another 20 minutes and then he's got to go to work because he's important and he's protecting people because he's law enforcement. All right. Hold tight. We'll be back with more right after this.
Did you know that radio just got a little extraterrestrial? That's right, Dave Schrader is back on radio with the Paranormal 360 every Sunday evening, 7 to 9 p.m. Central on WCCO AM 830, an Odyssey station. Just download the Odyssey app and look for the WCCO logo, follow the station and listen live. That's the Paranormal 360 on WCCO AM 830, an Odyssey station.
Oh, my little darklings. Theater of the Mind, Tales from the Darkness is out, and it's available right now. And I would love for you to pick up a copy of my brand new book. You can get it on Amazon wherever you live in this great, big, wonderful world of ours. Or if you'd like to get an autographed copy and you live here in the United States, go to paranormal60.com. We have the standard copy, non-autographed, just $20. Signed copy, only $30. And not only do we have this book, but we have my other book, The Other Side. And right now I'm running a special. If you pick up both books, you can get both books for $40, both signed. Both will be shipped in one package for one price. So go check out all the information at paranormal60.com. The Other Side, a teen's guide to ghost hunting and the paranormal, which is a guide on ghost hunting and the paranormal. Or you can get Theater of the Mind, Tales from the Darkness, real life encounters with the supernatural. And not only are they some of my all-time favorite stories from you, but there's a few of my favorite stories that have happened to me in the book as well. So go check it out, paranormal60.com, to order your copies, or you can buy copies wherever you are in the world that are unsigned at amazon.com. And I'll ask you this. Many of you have supported me in buying this book already. If you could just take 30 seconds to rate and review this book on Goodreads or on amazon.com, I would greatly appreciate it, because the more we get of good ratings and reviews, the more they expose this book to a wider, bigger audience. So I would appreciate that as a personal favor to me, your pal, Dave Schrader. And you can find my book bundle. How would you like to get your hands on my package? We've got it available right now. You can get both books signed, The Other Side and Theater of the Mind. 2 books, one guy, both signed and sent to you, $40 plus shipping and handling. You can get both books, and the holidays are right around the corner. Why not treat yourself or your loved ones to one of the greatest books ever written? I mean, by me this year.
I'll
Yeah.
help you.
So yeah, I'm very, you know, I scope it back in as we go along, Scotty. You don't have to do that to me. Come on, it's an amazing book, and if you could read, you would enjoy it, Scotty.
Why you got to be putting me out there like that, Dave?
Why you got to be putting me out there? All right. Hey, Dave, I've never told anyone this before, but I feel like you'd understand. When I was a kid, I used to see a man standing at the foot of my bed almost every night. He wore a long black coat and a wide brimmed hat, and he just stood there watching. I was terrified of him, but he never moved, never said a thing. He just stood there. I eventually convinced myself that it was just a recurring nightmare, and as I grew older, the sightings stopped. But here's the thing, Dave. Last week, I saw him again. I'm 34 years old now, and I was half asleep when I opened my eyes and saw him standing in the exact same spot, just as he had when I was a kid. Same black coat, same wide brimmed hat, and still just watching. I was frozen like I used to be, but when I blinked, he was gone. I don't know if it's my imagination or something more sinister, but seeing him again after all these years has shaken me to the core. What could what could he want and why now after all this time? I can't help but feel like he's waiting for something, but I have no idea what. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what this might be. All my best, Rick. All right, Scotty.
Dang.
And then I'll chime in. What do you think's going on?
Listen, Rick, I'm just going to give it to you straight, buddy. What if this isn't ghosts? And I don't think it is. I know this sounds like the classic description of a hat man, but what if there's some sort of memory being given to you while you're going somewhere else? What are the chances that there is some sort of abduction happening here? This is such a strange thing to have happened as a child, and it never says anything. You observe it, you're always paralyzed, and you have memory of it, but that's all that you remember. And then it stops happening, and all of a sudden now you're older and you experience it again, and you sort of woke up and it's kind of there. I don't know why I'm kind of going in this direction, but I feel like aliens.
So maybe the reason it's such a huge hat with a wide brim is because it's a big alien head he's trying to hide under it.
Maybe, or maybe just because it's just trying to put in like a placeholder of what it thinks you would be scared of or to see. I don't know.
Perception filter, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. I was going to go so much sweeter on this one.
I know you were.
Well, actually, here's what I would tell you. I would think about this, Rick, and I know it's many years ago when you first had these experiences, but is there anything that parallels in your life right now? As kids, we deal with a lot of anxiety and misplaced energy and don't always know how to get that out. Are you going through anything similar as an adult right now that this thing may be there watching you, protecting you, keeping an eye out on you when you're the most vulnerable while you sleep? That's just my thought, something to consider.
I honestly, that was my first thought, and then I was like, something else is chiming in here, and I really feel like there's something else at play.
Well, I'm a ghost
Sorry,
half
Rick.
full, and Scotty is a demon all there kind of guy, I guess. That's just the way it works. I love this one.
Let's go.
Hey, Dave, I've got a story for you that had me convinced my house is haunted. So a few weeks ago, I started hearing this strange hum that would fill my house at night. It wasn't constant, just this low, ominous sound that would kick in just every now and then, usually around 3 a.m. Scotty, we know what 3 a.m. is. It's right
Mhm.
after 2 and right before 4. At first, I thought it was just the house setting, but it got louder, more rhythmic. It almost began to sound like a chant. Naturally, my mind went straight to ghosts. I live in an old house, so the idea of it being haunted isn't so far-fetched. One night, the sound got so loud, it woke me up from a deep sleep. I grabbed a flashlight and followed the noise down to the kitchen. Heart pounding. The sound seemed to be coming from the fridge. But here's the kicker. The fridge wasn't running. The fridge was completely silent. but the noise was definitely coming from that corner of the room. At this point, I'm thinking, great, I've got a haunted fridge. I even Googled, can ghosts possess appliances? Spoiler, they can't, but I was desperate, Dave. I love that they're doing their own research before they reach out to me. I spent 2 nights avoiding the kitchen until I decided I couldn't take it anymore. I called in an electrician to check things out. Turns out the creepy, ghostly chant was the old motor in my refrigerator dying a slow, dramatic death. The repair guy couldn't stop laughing when I told him I thought it was a spirit trying to communicate. So yeah, Dave, my house wasn't haunted. It just needed a new fridge. But for a solid week, I was ready to call in a priest. Thanks for the laughs and all the spooky fun. And that comes from Jake.
That's not that funny because if you remember a documentary from 1984 called Ghostbusters, that's exactly how things started with a possessed refrigerator. All right. So
Scotty,
it's
a movie.
completely logical.
It's a movie. It's an entertainment movie filled with actors pretending to. Anyway, and I don't want to rain on your parade.
David, it's a documentary, sir.
Yeah, we'll talk about Santa and the Easter Bunny a little later. Now this one gets into your head. This one starts to rattle around. Just looking at the title of this one makes me uneasy. I've always been a rational person, Dave, but what happened to me the other night has left me questioning everything I thought I knew. I was getting ready for bed, just going through my usual routine, when I glanced at the bathroom mirror. For a split second, I saw a dark figure standing behind me. But when I turned around, there was no one there. My first thought was that it was just a trick of the light. But when I looked back at the mirror, the figure was still standing there, right behind me. It was standing there watching me from inside the mirror, even though the room behind me was completely empty. I couldn't move for what felt like minutes, just staring at this dark form in the reflection. Didn't have any features, just this tall, shadowy silhouette. But I could feel its presence like it was studying me. The hair on the back of my neck began to stand up. The moment I blinked, it was gone. I haven't been able to look in that mirror the same way since, and I've started to wonder if there's something more to mirrors than just reflections. Have you ever heard of spirits or entities appearing in mirrors like this? I'm not sure if I should be worried or if it was just my imagination playing tricks on me, but it felt too real to ignore. Thanks for listening, and that's Mia. Mirrors, Scotty the medium. The floor is yours.
Time. Oh, yeah, big time. Mirrors are one of the oldest traditions for mediums and psychics to be able to do what they call scrying. It's basically when you look into a mirror, it doesn't necessarily have to be dark or black like they might portray on television. It could be your regular bathroom mirror. Basically, you put yourself into a meditative state, and it's a really great place for spirits to be able to materialize and look back at us. It sounds like you may have put yourself into meditation by accident, whether you're brushing your teeth, cleaning, whatever you're doing at the sink there. And when you looked up, you were able to look into something looking back at you. It's pretty common, and it is pretty terrifying when it happens. And I'm speaking from a lifetime of experience of seeing ghosts in mirrors. It's scary every time.
Cindy Keza and I were just in England with Shane, and we were at an event, and there was a cool, creepy old mirror in this place. So Cindy and I were standing there, and I framed it up so my camera's covering my hideous face, and I took the picture so you could see the two of us standing by each other. And what's really cool is it's just this neat old picture. And it wasn't until that night when I was showing a couple of my friends, they're like, dude, look. And right in the mirror looking back at us is a face. And I showed it to Cindy, and she's like, oh, we weren't alone. That's awesome. So I did catch it. I'll see if I could have it on the show Wednesday to share and show everybody. But my daughter, I'd come back from the Stanley Hotel. She was very little. I want to say maybe 4, 5 years old. And I have her standing on the bathroom sink, and I'm brushing her teeth. And she goes, who dat, Dad? I go, who what? And she goes, Dare. And she points in the mirror at her bedroom door. And she goes, who's that lady? Who's that lady, Dad? And I look down the hall thinking maybe her mom's in the bedroom. Nope. I go, what lady, honey? And she's looking in the mirror, pointing at her bedroom door, going, that lady in my door. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was constipated for a week after that. I couldn't,
That's
everything.
so scary.
Right?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's very real.
Yeah. All right. So we have no real advice. Don't break the mirror.
Don't break it.
You know, I
Just
heard something really terrifying about that when people it was one of these little memes, but it really got in my head. It said, "Next time somebody tells you to break a haunted mirror, remember, mirrors don't break, they just multiply."
oh yeah, okay, perfect. Thanks for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh. All right. I know we got to hurry here. Couple last ones. Hi, Dave. I've never been one to believe in the paranormal. It sounds like the beginning of a Penthouse forum letter. Dear Dave, I never thought I'd be writing this, but something strange has been happening since my family moved into our new house. It's an old place built in the early 1900s, and from the moment we moved in, it felt, let's just say, off. At first, it was little things, cold spots in the hallway, doors creaking open all on their own, but lately, things have gotten a lot more unsettling. Every night, like clockwork, we hear whispers coming from the walls. It's faint at first, almost like the sound of the wind, but as the night goes on, the whispers get louder and clearer. I can't make out what's being said, but it's as if there are people having a conversation right behind the walls. Last night, I heard something that shook me to my core. It was my name, clear as day, whispered from the other side of the room. My kids are starting to hear it too, and Dave, they're terrified. I've checked the walls for any explanation, pipes, old wiring, but there's nothing that could explain these sounds. I don't know if it's spirits or something else, but it's starting to feel like we're not alone in this house. Should I be worried? Love, Heather.
That's pretty heavy. At first, I was thinking maybe we're just having a little time slip issue, hearing some sounds of the past, but it sounds like it's intelligent if it's talking about you. Yeah, right. And then all of a sudden, it's like Dave, and you're like, what? I
Yeah.
mean, that is so interesting. For me, I don't think I'd be worried about it, but the investigator in me says, how can I prove or disprove what I'm hearing? So, cameras, audio equipment, just the basic stuff you have on your phone, just to start recording and documenting what's happening, when it's happening, who it's happening to, and how often. Those are the things that I would look for. That way, when a professional like Dave or somebody like me comes in, you have a good log of what's happening so we can know what to expect and when, and see if we can recreate it, debunk it, or get deeper into it and find out what's happening. That's a really interesting phenomenon.
Yeah. Yeah. The whispery voices. Look up the prayer of Michael the Archangel. It's a great prayer. It's a very strong prayer. It's used by many lay exorcists and house clearing specialists, and it's a very powerful prayer. That's one that John Zaffis always has me do if I feel like there's something messing with me or my home. So it's the prayer of Saint Michael. You can Google it, find it, print it out, keep it with you always. All right, last two stories. Let me try to get through these. Yeah, let's do some more nightmare fuel before we leave. Hey, Dave, I know this sounds like the plot of a bad horror movie, but I swear something is living in my closet. For weeks now, I've been hearing scratching sounds coming from inside, especially late at night. At first, I thought it might be a mouse or some other animal, but every time I check, there's nothing there. The sound is too deliberate, too rhythmic to be something as simple as a mouse. Last night, I left the closet door cracked open, hoping to catch whatever it was, and around 2 a.m., I woke up to the sound of slow, scraping movements. I was too scared to get out of bed, but I watched as something pale and thin slipped out from the gap in the closet door. I couldn't make out what it was, just a glimpse, something unnatural. I slammed the door shut and haven't opened it since, but I can still hear it moving around inside my closet. I don't know what to do, Dave. Whatever's in there isn't human, and I'm afraid of what might happen if I let it out. Love the show, Mike.
How many times have we watched any paranormal show and they're like, wow, I found this door and it just was nailed shut and there were boards over it, and it's like they didn't want us to find it. You have one of those doors, sir. Do that.
Nail it shut.
Nail it shut and wait for the next guy to find it. Whatever's in there ain't that important. You could rebuy it.
Go get that. What is that spray? That tactical spray you can spray to seal all the seams of
Foam.
your. Yeah, just block it up.
Flex seal, foam spray, whatever you got to do. Put a
Some-
little holy
Today's
water on it
episode
while
is
you're at
brought
it.
to you by Flex Seal. Holy Christmas. I don't know. Again, prayer of Michael the Archangel. Maybe hang a couple of Benedictine medals up if you're religious. If you're not, whatever your belief system is, You know, you can always go try to find a holistic center somewhere near your home. And a lot of times there are different people that will help clear your home, and they shouldn't charge a whole lot of money. It's usually just a little bit of money just for their time and their incense or whatever. If they're telling you they'll come do it for $500 or $1,000, maybe a little skeptical on it. But you can always ask for references too, and then call people that they've helped. And if those references play out, boom, there you go. All right, our final email of the night. Hi, Dave. I wanted to share something that happened to me last month that I still can't fully wrap my brain around. I was driving home late one night after visiting a friend, and it was one of those eerie, quiet nights where there's just not another car on the road for miles. And I was driving down this dark stretch of highway, cool wind in my hair, the warm smell of colitis rising up through the air. Starting to sound familiar. When I saw a woman standing on the side of the road, waving her arms like she needed help. She looked desperate, Dave, so I slowed down to pull over and see what was wrong. But as I get closer, she began to dissipate and vanish before my eyes. One moment she was there, the next, she's just gone. I was so startled that I almost didn't notice the huge tree that had fallen across the road up ahead. If I hadn't slowed down to look for her, I would have crashed right into it that night. I've never believed in ghosts, but now I'm starting to wonder if that woman or that spirit saved my life. Whoever, whatever it was, I'm grateful. Have you ever heard of spirits giving warnings like this? I'd love to know your thoughts. Thanks for everything, Karen. Yeah, we've heard of that. We've heard of spirits helping out. We talked about it earlier on the show. That's a good one.
Yep. I have one that will blow your mind. This is third party. This is my very good friend who I was in the Marine Corps with.
Okay.
He was in Iraq, and he was traveling down a road that was heavily laden with IEDs, roadside explosives.
Oh.
And his driver stopped the truck in the middle of the day. And my friend is sitting in the seat and says, "Why are you stopping the truck?" And he says, "You don't see our Marines standing out there pointing at the road?" And my buddy says, "I didn't see anything." But we stopped and we get out and we check. And sure enough, there's an IED in the road. And it's in the same exact spot that about a week before another Marine was unfortunately killed by an IED in that same exact spot.
Wow.
And it seems that his spirit may have been there protecting our fellow Marines, saying, "Hey, stop, there's another one here." And it's that same kind of story where a protective spirit was like, "Hey, danger, stop." And it's, as soon as you told that story about the down trade right there, that brought me back to that story. It's amazing.
Very cool. Yeah. Scotty, the medium, I know you have to go. You've got work to do. Thank you for joining us. If people want to get a reading with you, if they want to meet up with you, I know you do ghost hunts throughout the year. What's the best way to keep up with you?
Come follow me on TikTok. It's the best place to hang out with me. If not TikTok, Instagram, Scotty the NJ Medium. You can find me there, or on Facebook is Scott Davis. I post a lot of the same stuff there, events, readings, all those kinds of things.
We have links up for Scotty, so you can find his Facebook and his TikTok on today's program guide. Scotty, brother, I love you. I'm always happy to see you and spend some time doing this. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Dude, always thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I love you. I love the audience, and I love being able to talk about this stuff. It makes me so happy. Now I get to go sit in the dark all night while you guys get to go to sleep, or at least try.
Right, but at least you get to stay up for a reason. Everybody else is going to be up waiting for every sound in their house, from satanic squirrels to waving ghosts. You never know what's waiting for you on the other side.
Good luck, everyone.
Thank you to Scotty Davis, a dear friend. And again, we're going to be going to the Shanley Hotel in April. We'll be doing ghost hunts and some talks and presentations and having a great time. Love for you to come on out and be a part of it with us. So keep checking darknessevents.com. That information should be going up pretty soon. So keep checking back for that. That's it for tonight. Thank you to all of the great listeners who actually take the time to write, and for punctuation and separating it out into paragraphs. You people are beautiful. So thank you very much, because you've made the darkness of this world a little more light by taking time to be grammatically correct in all of your emails. But you know what? Even if you're not great at writing, share your story with me anyway. I will read it on the program, and we will share more programs like this. And I saw somebody say, is there going to be a Halloween show? I'm actually going to be in Ireland for Halloween this year, so there will not be a specific show on Halloween for Halloween. But I promise you that we will continue having some cool shows like this that'll be popping up between now and Halloween. This Wednesday, we've got Sweet Tea, we've got Chachi, we've got the Colonel all joining us right here for the Paranormal 60 News. And again, thank you all for spending some time here. Go check out Scotty, the medium. Make sure to check out the work he does, his TikTok. You could follow him on TikTok and keep up with his readings, keep up with all the great work he's doing, because he is fantastic, and you will fall in love with Scotty the Medium. That's it for me, your old pal Dave, right here on the Paranormal 60. Don't forget, you can always be a part of the show by sharing your stories, your questions, your insights, and we want to hear if you've had any experiences like the ones we talked about tonight on the show. The best way to reach out to me is Dave at paranormal60.com. That's Dave at paranormal60.com.